Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here today. We're taking a look at Rune. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin first, get a baseline of the market because any good trader will look at that first. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to check out my Patreon account. I actually have a trading community. Helps you grow as a trader, and I share all my trades with my community members as well with using a trading bot. So it's actually a really cool experience. Check that out. I'm kind of hyped about it because it's fairly new with the trading bot, but it's really working out well. That being said, looking at Bitcoin here first. What we're doing is we're going to just quickly understand support and resistance zones, right? We got a nice support zone between 58 and 60,000. There's a resistance channel here, however, between 65 and 66,000, right? Spent a little bit of time up there, of course, got rejected out and came back down after it broke the all-time high. And now at this point, unfortunately, there was that retracement, so to speak. I think it's more fortunate because we need to see a leg down at one point or another based on the simple fact that it's only been straight up from 40,000. So 40,000 to 67,000, it just went without any correction. So this was inevitable, okay? So don't be concerned or worried that it's gone. There's a good chance it'll come down to the support zone of 58 to 60,000, kind of hold out either in between or just above. That's my speculation. We might see a further red day tomorrow, considering it's Friday going into the weekend. A lot of profits are taken typically going into the weekend, and we'll see what happens. That being said, let's take a look at Rune and get a big picture here first of all. And as we can see, we had a pretty big all-time high. I'm well to guess this candlestick here. Yep, May 19th. That's the China candle. We all pretty familiar with that one. That was the first major sell-off. Correction, actually second major sell-off in Bitcoin after April 17th. Which, let's see if we can find that. See, April 17th is right here. Not much effect for Rune. Yes, it dipped a little bit afterwards. Most coins did that. A lot of them did more. And then, of course, we see the price came back up here. Elon candle had very little effect. And then, of course, China candle kind of sent things into a downward spiral. But ever since then, it's been recovering nicely. Obviously, in the last recent past, nothing was impervious to September 7th, right? That was the, the wonderful El Salvador candle, we refer to it as. And that really just, reset a lot of progress, which is actually well and good based on the fact that we need to have that correction sometimes because too high, too fast can slow things down, which we're seeing right now with Bitcoin, right? That being said, let's go ahead and mark some resistance levels here and kind of see what we're dealing with. So right around $11.70 is a pretty close approximate for a resistance level. We've also got a nice support here at about 656. And then we'll go ahead and see what we can find, I guess, smaller time frames, of course, based on what we can, kind of see for different support and resistance zones. But from right now, we're actually looking really good. We're above both moving averages, the 50 and the 200. We are under 70 and above 50 on the RSI. That's fantastic. The price is back above 50. I love to see RSIs up over 50. It gives us that kind of that momentum, bullish momentum, more specifically on the RSI one day. Okay, which is awesome to see. Furthermore, we had kind of pretty much a convergence, if you will, just recently here on the 19th. So 2 days ago, we had kind of an indication that there was a potential buy signal right there. So let's go ahead and mark that so we can kind of see that on the 1 hour chart. And looking at the 4 hour as well here, we can see that we do have this golden cross that just occurred. Obviously, that happened based on the fact that it moved up so quick. That probably wouldn't have occurred for a couple of days, but generally speaking, that is usually a catalyst. Furthermore, as well, we see down here RSI is well over 70, so I'm speculating we're going to see a retracement soon. We already have somewhat of a retracement there as well. What was that? Somewhere around 4% correction. We'll probably see a little bit larger of a correction, but we'll find out here shortly kind of what we're looking like. Furthermore, too, we have a MACD convergence right around October 20th at 5 a.m. That's a pretty obvious guy there. Let's go ahead and mark that as well. So I like marking these here on the 1 day and the 4 hour chart to kind of see there's a correlation between the Ishimoku cloud. Oftentimes there is between one of the two, and we probably would have had a good buy signal from either, kind of letting us know we want to get into a trade like this. If you're new to the channel, I send out signals like this all the time, and these kind of signals that I send are based on the cloud as well as the 4 hour MACD convergence when you got that bearish momentum waning and the bullish momentum waxing, if you will, to draw a moon reference there, right? And basically when the bulls take control, that's when we see this surge that occurs. And more often than not, you see the 1 hour chart, the Ishimoku cloud, the price right there, when the price breaks just above the cloud, it pretty much coincides with the 4 hour MACD convergence. It's a really awesome thing. So I just set out a lot of alerts, and all of a sudden I get notified and I send out a signal to my community that checks all the boxes. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the 1 hour chart. But just before we do, why don't we go ahead and take a look at this here first and just kind of get an idea of roughly where we're trending, if we have any other support and resistance levels. So we can see right there, pretty close to about 850 would be a potential support. So we'll just go ahead and mark that. And then we can also go ahead and we'll see on shorter time frames as well, but there's a strong chance because 0.786, that's a pretty common support level I've noticed when we get these kind of spikes up according to Fibonacci. So we'll see where that looks on the 1 hour chart. All right, so let's go ahead and take a peek at the 1 hour chart. We'll go ahead and turn on the Ishimoku cloud and kind of see what's going on here. And there we go, just as I figured. Take a look at that. So if you're new to the channel or just the cloud in general, I'd like to explain this because it's a very helpful tool to utilize. I think it's underused and something that's very, very beneficial, right? So if you're familiar with the MACD convergence, you're just basically looking at the 12-day exponential moving average and the 26-day exponential moving average. When the 12 intersects with the 26 in upward fashion, it gives us that convergence, right? The price is converging. And that's basically just a shift from bearish to bullish. When we look at this here with the cloud, it's a different metric, of course. I don't have time to explain it, but when the price breaks above the cloud, that's typically considered a buy signal. And when it breaks below, it's generally considered a sell signal, right? So had you just say shorted right here when it broke below, you could have got somewhere in the range of 5 to 6%. And by the way, 5 to 6% is phenomenal. Okay, I don't want anyone to ever tell you otherwise, right? Profit is profit. Take it while you still can. And because you get a lot of people nowadays that are greedy, they're diamond hand holders. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously there is if you never sell, but generally speaking, if you hold on forever, you're never going to make anything, right? Because it goes up and down consistently. But if you can find a way to be able to sell high and buy low, that always works out very well. Obviously that's easier said than done. I recognize it, but what I'm getting at is a small gain is a small gain. A gain is a gain, right? That's all there is to it. If you take a traditional stock market, a 5% day is fantastic, right? And if you're using just say a capital of 50, 60, 70,000, that turns into thousands of dollars, right? So it's really important that you understand that and try not to get too greedy. Regardless, I teach that in my community. Feel free to check that out. But more importantly here, what we want to do is look next at market exhaustion and see where we're at. We're obviously going to be really high on the TD sequential. We're going to be in overtime, but I like to look at this here to kind of see where we're at and how much more time we have left. In other words, when you see a 1 up to a 9, right? Because a 9 is essentially the peak of a traditional run, right? So in other words, if you have a bull run that runs all the way up to 9, it's supposed to consolidate or retrace unless unless there's some kind of something's pushing it further, right? There's likely something pushing this here. Of course, it's that extra little like the fear of missing out has a lot to do with this. Oftentimes you see a second surge in crypto when people are saying, oh wow, Rune's taken off, let's get in before it's too late, and they get that second jump. But regardless of the fact that when we see a 9, it basically just means that we are well past due. So we're 3 hours into overtime. That's what I refer to it as. In other words, the price is too high at this point, and we should see a retracement or consolidation soon. Now it's tried to retrace a couple of times, but there's a strong likelihood that we're going to see the price come down somewhere in a range of about $10.13, which again was kind of one of those higher points on the Fibonacci retracement. So we're getting up there, obviously, and you want to keep in mind that the price will likely retrace soon because it can only stay so high for so long. And let me give you a better example here, just so you understand what I'm referring to. And because there's a standard deviation where the price can only go so far outside those boundaries, and then it has to correct itself. Kind of like a natural gravity of trading, right? So let's take a look here. So first of all, we got the, to show you here, this is a VWAP and EMA, right? I got a volume weighted average price on the 15-minute chart, and I use the VWAP, which is essentially just telling us what the volume of the last 24 hours is expressed as a price. So we see the volume weighted average price here. When the price is above, it's considered a support. Fantastic. We got that checked off the list. Price is above EMA, of course, same thing as well. We're good there. But take a look at this VWAP here. Do you see how the price jumped outside of those lines? When it does that, when it jumps outside of those lines, you have this push back down to center, right? So usually I've noticed when it's anywhere upwards of about, to say, 10 to 20% higher, like this, for example, this is right at about 10%. So each one of these standard deviation lines are basically holding right around 10 to 12%, and it's holding the price down, right? So that's healthy, that's good. We need to do that because when it goes too far outside of those boundaries, then that's a bad thing. So simply put, when we look at the standard deviation here for this, it's moving outside of that, which is okay. based on the fact that we have this nice staircase pattern leading into it. Okay, so I like to see this here. I like the fact that the price is effectively up and over, right? So but the problem here, right? If the price doesn't come down soon and just kind of rest on support, it's going to come up, then it's going to come down harder. So, you know, what goes up must come down. You know, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. There's a lot of analogies you can put in there. I like, my favorite one is falling down a flight of stairs, right? It's going to mess your world up. You're probably going to be a different person after that. You know, crutches, wheelchair, whatever. That's what happens when coins jump up too fast and come back down. We all get wrecked because the whales are taking their profit at the top, and a lot of us turn a day trade into a swing trade, and it's a bad practice. But heaven forbid, you know, say you were to fall down just a staircase, rather more so a couple steps. Let's just say that. Say you fall down a couple of steps, and you got some scrapes and you bruise and you get up again, right? That's what happens here. That's what will happen here if this kind of corrects itself soon. If it goes sideways and kind of relaxes, for lack of better terms, then we're going to see it bounce back faster. So we want to see this continue to increase, so we don't want to see a dramatic decrease. Therefore, I think we're going to see the price kind of hang out between $10 and $11, hopefully for the next couple of days, and then ramp back up again once it has more gas left in the tank. That being said, big picture, are we going to see the resistance level about $11 and what, 70 cents broken? Probably not in the next 24 to 48 hours. I would prefer to see the price go sideways and then leg up again within just say the next week. So I think it's comfortable as long as Rune doesn't go crazy bonkers here in the next 24 hours. Then I think it's probably safe to say we're going to be able to, you know, just kind of edge our way back up to 1170, break that resistance, and then once we do, it's pretty much open season to be able to come all the way up here to the top, which is $20.35. I think that's very likely to be able to hit that once we break this resistance level, because the more recent highs are essentially some of the stronger resistance levels until we get up to here, right? So just something to consider. But all in all, yeah, Rune's in really good shape. I think we can see likely a 2x from this coin before year end. I think that's very realistic. And obviously, the most important thing to be able to break is this resistance of about 1170. That'll be the first major milestone. So hope you found benefit here, of course. If you did, like and subscribe, join my Patreon community, and hopefully looking forward to getting to know you a bit better, because we also have a private chat, and it's a really awesome experience. I'm pretty much getting to know my community members, you know, face value, right? Everything's perfect. Again, I speak highly of it because it's a really cool experience for everyone. But again, if that's not your thing, that's perfectly fine. There's an instructional video down below if you're interested in kind of understanding what you're getting into there, because I do send out signals as well. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a good one.